So one of the biggest considerations that you should make when you are planning to write about your sources and write for your essay is essentially the body paragraphs should be organized, and they should be organized with the rule that we used to teach called paragraphs or sandwiches. I generally think of the top layer of bread of the sandwich as being the topic sentence or general information or an introduction to the research subject of evidence. The middle of the paragraph then should be more specific. We would call that the meat and cheese of the sandwich. This would be the evidence and the research that you're presenting and explaining. And finally, after you've presented your research or explained or directly quoted or whatever you needed to do, the last layer of the bread should then be kind of a summary of the research, summary of the things that you said here, a closing idea, a transition to the next idea or paragraph. Now, what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to show you some examples of this at work. So in the model essay that we wrote to show you how to do things, in this top layer of bread, we have basically an introduction to the research. You can anticipate, because of this first sentence being general, leading into the other topics, that this is the top layer of bread. You can also assume that whatever follows it is essentially going to be the research that supports it. So first she had left her job as a consultant and became a math teacher. Then we even got to this part where we had done a combination of paraphrasing and describing what had gone on in the video, and then we gave credit where credit is due. So this is more what I would consider meat and cheese. We also have more here. She went on to work on her master's degree in psychology, and once again, we have more research here. So once again, we have more of that. Then last but not least, our bottom layer of bread ends up being a summary statement. Hence, her studies begin to suggest that success is more likely with grit and perseverance. So we summarized essentially what all of this meat and cheese was going through. Another good example of this is present in this paragraph as well. Along a similar thing, Robert Frost explores the idea of making difficult choices in his poem called The Road Not Taken. This is the bread of our sandwich. In this poem, he sets the scene with two roads diverging in a yellow wood, etc. And so right here, all the way down to down here, we have what I would consider to be the meat and cheese. Now, you're going to get your meat and cheese from the sources and your graphic organizer that you worked on while you were reviewing the sources and deciding strategically which evidence you wanted to talk about and describe. Last but not least, then, we have a summary statement, once again, that basically summarizes everything that was the meat and cheese. And that's basically our sandwich. We got bread, meat and cheese, and then another layer of bread here at the bottom. So when you're organizing your paragraphs and deciding what you're going to say and in which order, you should generally go from general to specific in the meat and cheese, back out to some general point with each paragraph.